picture of a mid-60s issue of the magazine Galaxy exemplifies what I wanted this channel to be about. Science fiction and literature in related genres that are unique in tone and style. However, it is easy to claim something has a unique and especially distinctive style. Here is a quote from the author who is the lead feature on the cover. "We were drunk with happiness in those early years. Everybody was, especially the young people. These were the first years of the rediscovery of man, when the instrumentality dug deep in the treasury, reconstructing the old cultures, the old languages, and even the old troubles. The nightmare of perfection had taken our forefathers to the edge of suicide. Now under the leadership of the Lord Gestocost and the Lady Alice More, the ancient civilizations were rising like great land masses out of the sea of the past." Smith, Cordwainer. The Rediscovery of Man, SF Masterworks. Orion. Kindle edition. I have picked Smith's work to start with because I have a particular relationship with his story cycle. I discovered it a few years ago. I had never heard of the writer and downloaded his stories on a whim on Kindle with not great expectations. However, I was to be disabused of such notions very quickly. Smith is one of the oddest and most unusual literary voices I have encountered. The author was a polyglot and involved in a large number of historical events. His main themes are the exploration of what makes men and women truly human. A theme that sounds simplistic perhaps if uttered in such a direct manner. Yet, via his central outstanding creation of the underpeople who are genetically uplifted animals, Smith reminds us that humanity is dependent on intent as well as outward appearance. He also shows how to be human is a process that we take part in throughout our lives. I have included a small part of my own dissertation on Smith in the next section because I am just that much of an egomaniac. In Arlington National Cemetery a headstone rests whose inscription reads, "Paul Myron Anthony Linebarger District of Columbia Colonel Mill Intel User World War II July 11, 1913 August 1966 BSM. Paul Myron Anthony Linebarger, 1913 to 1966, under the nom de plume of Cordwainer Smith, authored a series of tales collectively known as The Instrumentality of Mankind. The following is a précis. The Instrumentality of Mankind covers several millennia of humanity's uncertain progress into a far future plenitude. Before the period of Scanners Live in Vain, a shattered Earth is dubiously revitalized by the family of a Nazi scientist who awake from suspended animation to found the Instrumentality. The Instrumentality of Mankind series, hereafter referenced as Instrumentality, was, for the most part, authored between 1950 and 1966. Smith's stories were mostly published in periodicals which specialized in science fiction literature, such as Galaxy. Given the series and its concerns are rooted in the possible implications of technological advances, such as genetic engineering and cybernetics, it has seemed appropriate to use the term science fiction rather than speculative fiction throughout this work. The text on the tombstone cited gives a hint as regards some aspects of this author's background. Under his real name, he was an academic and also a military officer who served as an intelligence officer in the U.S. Armed Forces. He served in World War II in Japan and India. He was also involved in propaganda campaigns designed at disrupting the morale of the Axis powers. His manual for PSYOPs, authored in the 1940s, is still in circulation today. He will be referenced here mostly under his assumed name Cordwainer Smith to avoid confusion. Cordwainer Smith was born in China to a father who was a judge and led a peripatetic childhood in which he moved home constantly. When he was born, China was undergoing sweeping political changes. His father, Paul Myron Wentworth Linebarger, had a long-standing association with the Chinese nationalist cause, and close links to the statesman Sun Yat-sen. Paul Myron Wentworth Linebarger reportedly resigned his judicial post to become Sun's legal advisor and financial backer. He would be responsible for some of nationalist China's most circulated propaganda. Smith obtained a doctorate at the age of 23, and before his involvement in the military had established a career as an academic at the Johns Hopkins School of Advanced International Studies. There is some indication that he combined his career in teaching with continued involvement in espionage. In his memoirs, the CIA operative Joseph B. Smith mentions Cordwainer Smith. Going to Paul Linebarger's house on Friday evenings was not only an educational experience for those who attended the seminar, It was also an exercise in clandestinity. Learning covert operational conduct was considered part of the course. Each seminar was limited to no more than 8 students. Smith's concerns with what he saw as the inherently wasteful and decadent culture of the West still remain relevant nearly 60 years after his death. His stories contain warnings of the advantages and disadvantages of AI, genetic tampering with animals and humans, and several of them offer a look at issues that would be viewed as transgendered concerns nowadays. Semel, who is possibly his most singular creation, features on the magazine, which appears in the first few minutes of this video. She is a catgirl who has been genetically engineered to appear seductive to men. Yet the underpeople are forbidden from ever marrying or being involved with normal humans. Semel gradually assumes the role of a heroine, helping to gain better conditions for her people, but at a great cost to herself. If Smith's work can be reduced to a single message, it is perhaps that to deny the value of others is to start to deny our own worth, and that such thinking is mental poison.